Greetings, Pooper Troopers. Dr. Pooplove here, dropping the long-awaited TLOU Factions Poopcast, Episode 4. The show 4 faction heads made by a Day 1 faction's head. And today's episode is a little different than most. For one, today I'm not going to be doing a patch history lesson. And that is because there was no patch 1.04 for the PS3. And since this is episode 4 and I kind of want the numbering to match, I want to wait until episode 5 to go over patch 1.05. It's a little obsessive compulsive, but I gotta do it. Also, today's topic bleeds into the Factions 2 watch a bit. It's kind of being covered through today's topic, so really, today we're just going to be about one thing, and that is the recent Bloomberg article that revealed Naughty Dog's plans for a Last of Us Remake, a multiplayer project, and an Uncharted sequel. But before I start, I want to do a couple quick announcements. So first of all, I want to thank everyone for the support and comments, and we're already at something like 180 subscribers. We're almost at 200. I just want to give a great thank you to all you out there. It means a lot. And another thing is I'm gonna start live streaming. I already did last Monday, but I'm gonna try to develop a normal cadence of this. And so I'm planning to start live streaming every Monday around 5 Eastern Standard Time here on YouTube rather than on Twitch. And so you can catch me there, and I'll try to be as consistent as I can. Of course, life just gets in the way sometimes, but Dr. Pooplove tries his best. Also, I do have a couple of exciting videos in the works. I can't wait to show you all. But again, life is kind of getting in the way recently, so it may be a few weeks before I get one of those nicely edited, fun videos out again. But I'll try to give at least something every week until I can get that wrapped up. But let's get right into the topic of today's show. So on April 9th, last week, Jason Schreier, one of the best-known gaming journalists that always seems to have a lot of insider information, dropped an article for Bloomberg, and it's called "Sony's Obsession with Blockbusters is Stirring Unrest Within PlayStation Empire." It's actually kind of hard to read that because I feel like he should have said within the PlayStation Empire. But that's neither here nor there. This article, though, it details the dynamics between Naughty Dog and some of the smaller PlayStation studios. In particular, there is the Visual Arts Service Group, who was working on Last of Us Remake. And in the article, it kind of details how they lose control to Naughty Dog over that project. There's also Sony Bend, who's detailed in the article, and it's about them not getting to make a Days Gone 2 and having to have parts of their teams helping to support the multiplayer and Uncharted. And that the real point of the article is, these game devs, these smaller game devs at the Visual Arts Service Group and Sony Bend, and how they have these passion projects that they kind of either lose control or are not allowed to do because of Sony, and how Sony really just wants blockbuster after blockbuster after blockbuster. And that doesn't sound too good. It sounds in a way like they're trying to kill creativity and kill some passion. And you feel bad for these devs as as Sony kind of crushes some of their passion and vision. And I know at the same time, this is a company and they want to make money, but then again, it's always sad to hear about creative pursuits being killed, and also sometimes letting people be creative results in a lot of lucrative success for a company. And so, they may be shooting themselves in the foot here by just being so risk averse and just trying to go back to the well of what's proven. And I'm gonna get into that more because I hate how these companies try to kill creativity. But the thing is that as gamers, this doesn't sound good either, because what we want is a game that is made by people who are passionate about that game. And the reason for that is that's when you get those special moments in games that just bring a little twinkle to your eye. Those moments that just know that whoever designed this like really cares and loves what they're doing. This is where you get those little Easter eggs, those nice little finer details. If you're working on something that you're not passionate about, in a lot of cases, you're probably just going to do the bare minimum. You're not loving what you're doing. You're not putting your full-throated heart into it. And I'm not saying that's the case. I don't know, but it does make me worry about the quality of some of these future projects because of hearing about people being upset about what they're having to work on versus what they want to work on. But, and so as a gamer, that's bad for us. But of course, these are also people, and it just kind of sucks to hear about people's passions and creativity being squandered in this way. But the part of the article that's particularly juicy, the one that's getting most of the headlines, and the ones that I want to talk about now are the 3 games that are being developed under Naughty Dog's supervision. And again, it doesn't sound too great. It doesn't sound like a lot of things I'm excited for. First of all, it talks about the development of a Last of Us Remake. Now, why is there a Last of Us Remake being made? What is the purpose? Why do we need a Last of Us Remake? Sure, the graphics could look like The Last of Us Part 2, but the graphics are kind of fine the way they are. This game is not that old, and to be making a remake of it so soon is just kind of cynical in my mind. I like remakes. I liked the Crash Bandicoot remakes, but this is not needed. This is not needed, at least now. It's way too soon for this. I mean, to me, it just sounds like a money grab, a way to get it sounds just like a way to get a lot of money from people, and it seems kind of greedy to do this. I mean, heck, The Last of Us Part 2 came out last year. It's already a year old. Why don't you remake that one as well? And this just gets me to this other thing where it's like, is creativity dead? Why is it that so much of this is beyond games. So much of the entertainment industry is all about remaking things that have been proven, or doing a sequel to something that's been proven, or it seems like there aren't a whole lot of companies out there that want to just take some risks on some new IP, on something new and something fresh and something that pushes the boundaries and the limits. And this is just another one of those cases where it just feels like, what's happened to creativity? I can get into this even more about the movie industry. There's rarely ever a movie that really gets me excited these days, because it's all remakes and sequels. And so I can get into that, but let's just move on. The other thing it talks about is an Uncharted sequel being made. And I guess I guess most of us had assumed that Naughty Dog would not be making another Uncharted. That they if there was going to be an Uncharted, that some other studio could probably take that over. I mean, I do want more adventures in the Uncharted universe, but I don't need Naughty Dog to have involvement. They've already kind of crafted the formula that seems to work. They did it for Uncharted 4, and Lost Legacy just kind of recycled that formula and moved it forward. You could do that with another studio. I don't see why I don't see why Naughty Dog needs to be involved in this. And that is the other thing that is a little bit disappointing in this, is seeing how many projects Naughty Dog is working on that are just kind of remakes or sequels and not really pushing the boundaries. Naughty Dog has been known for pushing the boundaries and creating and very creative narrative experiences. And this just sounds like they're going back to the well and they're putting themselves in autopilot mode, and they don't have to, think and be creative and create something new that we can all be super, super excited for. I mean, I love Naughty Dog. I bought PlayStation because of Crash Bandicoot, PlayStation 2 because of Jak and Daxter, PS3 because of Uncharted, and PS4 because of Factions, and PS5 probably because of Factions. But the thing is, this is not the Naughty Dog we want, I don't think. We want Naughty Dog that's going to be pushing boundaries. It's going to be making new IPs and new stories and being that creative force within Sony. And this just doesn't seem good to me, because it seems like Sony has quashed a lot of the creativity just for money-making purposes. But I guess the only positive thing here in this article is the mention of the multiplayer, because that is, at least in my mind, an area that Naughty Dog can push the boundaries and be creative and put their own spin and touch on a brand new genre. And the thing is, Naughty Dog, obviously they have created multiplayers in the past, your Uncharted series and Factions, but it's always kind of been a side team. And so to kind of know that Naughty Dog is maybe putting more focus and effort into a multiplayer experience through this development, at least hopefully they're putting more of their creative energy into it, since their other projects don't really seem to be all that creative. It is probably the one thing in this article that is positive to me. And first of all, it's nice to kind of hear it reaffirmed that they are working on a multiplayer. I mean, I know the evidence is all over the place now, but since they haven't fully announced anything and talked about anything in a while, it's just every time we get one of these reaffirmations, it's nice to hear. And the article references a multiplayer project. It doesn't specifically state Factions 2, but I think we can assume that most likely it will be Factions 2, although it will be kind of interesting if somehow this is not a Factions multiplayer. But I'm going to be pretty disappointed if it isn't. And it also appears that Sony Bend is actually supporting the multiplayer. And so from that perspective, I wonder if they're going to maybe be helping with horde mechanics, since they they developed that for Days Gone. And it's kind of interesting to see what they may be supporting and helping. And the other thing is, I would hope that the Factions 2 has some sort of PvP VE mode where you're facing off against clickers and a horde of infected. Obviously, I still want there to be modes without them, because I like to just shoot actual players, but I think it's pretty much a requirement that this multiplayer experience have a horde mode or infected mode of some sort, because that was the number one thing people kept talking about and asking Naughty Dog when Factions released. They were like, where's horde mode? Where's infected mode? So if they didn't get that message that people really want that, then I don't know. I don't know how to help them. But I guess the other thing that's interesting in this is, since they are remaking The Last of Us, does that mean that Factions will be included in that remake as a remade experience? And I think the answer to that is probably not, is probably a no, because if they're working on Factions 2 right now, why would you want to create another multiplayer to compete with yourself? The only way I would say that they better make one is if it is in fact not Factions 2 and some other experience. Then if that's the case, then I really do want a Last of Us remake, because we all want Factions, we all want more Factions, and so Naughty Dog, please. And so overall, the picture painted here is a bit dismal for me and kind of leaves me worried. Naughty Dog is involved in all these projects right now, and it seems like they're spread kind of thin. And so I do worry, especially, I want them just working on the multiplayer. That's what I love them for these days. But, it seems like they're not really being able to dedicate full time to all of these projects. And so as a result, they're bringing in other teams and smaller, PlayStation studios to help, and it's worrying. It means that these things may not have that Naughty Dog polish, especially if these smaller teams are not very passionate about what they're doing because they want to be working on other projects. So that leaves me a bit worried, but at least we got some reaffirmation of the multiplayer, and most likely Factions 2. It seems like they're really trying to be ambitious with it, like they actually stated in that tweet back in 2019. And, I think we really, especially with this article coming out, Naughty Dog hopefully will want to take back control of the narrative and maybe start announcing some of these things. And AKA, hint, hint, tell us what's going on with the multiplayer. Please, Naughty Dog, I beg you. But anyways, that's my take on all of this, on this article. But what do you all think? Do you want a Last of Us remake? Let me know what you think in the comments. But that's pretty much it for this episode. If you want to catch any other Poopcast episodes, check them out right here. But that's Dr. Poop Love signing out. So long, Pooper Troopers.